My friends, hello. So we've been talking about my experience with COVID and the job experience that I've had professionally, where I laid myself off 7 months ago. Then I had an opportunity to work with a global university and turn that down because it just didn't feel right. I had to trust myself to turn it down. Then I talked about that porch drink series where I brought people over to my house one by one and started to get their counsel and feedback and reflection from them. Then I went on to ask past clients and people that I'd had the opportunity to work with informally, ask them for their testimonials to see really what impact I had made in their lives from their perspective. And then the next thing that took place was I needed to trust a process that I developed. So I knew going in that I needed to make sure that I did everything in a methodical, intentional way, or I could hurt myself or my future clients. And I wasn't willing to do that. I wanted to make sure that whatever I did is done thoughtfully and intentionally. So I built a process for myself to make sure that was going to happen. And that's what I want to share with you today. As these testimonials were recorded, they all kind of fell into different buckets, which surprised me a little bit. I expected them to kind of be scattershot and that the impact I had made on different people was going to express itself in kind of a variety of ways. But really what happened was it expressed itself in areas of helping people to discover themselves, to feel empowered, to be held accountable in a positive way, and to help them to achieve their goals. Those were the things that people said I helped them to do in the past. And so if that's what people reflect that this was the most valuable thing that I provided for them, then that's the areas that I decided I was going to focus on. It made sense that I would focus on areas where I've already had success. So I started to build a business plan. The business plan wasn't rocket science, and building a business plan isn't hard. And I've done it a bunch of times through undergraduate and graduate degree. I've had lots of opportunities to build business plans as part of assignments and to dissect them as part of case studies and to do them in volunteer and business work as well. I've built business plans throughout my career. So this wasn't something that was foreign to me. What I wanted to make sure, though, was that it was really, really watertight. I wanted to make sure there were no areas where this thing could catch me blind and cause a problem, that I was going to unintentionally cause problems for my clients or for myself. So I had a bunch of people review this thing for me. I paid for an expert review, and that was very, very analytical and very, Likert scale ranking on different categories, and it helped me to make sure that I was on target. And I did that first. Then I went to people that I trust. And this is, again, something that I'm recommending to you if you're in a position like I'm in right now, or if you are in a position where you're building something, period. This is a process you can use as well. I went to people that I trust. So I've had a gentleman who's been giving me kind of behind the scenes counsel for about 15 years now. He started a very successful franchise restaurant. I went to him and asked for his input and counsel. I went to my uncle, who has been, he ran a petroleum company of like 1,100 employees for a long, long time. Asked for his counsel from kind of a different vantage point as potentially a person who would be the decision maker for the product that I'm putting together. Then I worked with my wife's uncle, who's been a small business owner and a consultant throughout his career. And so he had another vantage point on delivery. Then I also went to my financial planner and make sure that there were, all the financial pieces were in place, that I wasn't going to cause harm to myself personally or to the business through any missteps that I may not have been prepared for. Then I went to a friend who is he's in economic development, and he's the leader of a startup accelerator type initiative. And I went to him and I asked him for his input, and he thought it was one of the most solid plans that he'd ever heard. That was really good feedback that I was quite proud of, because this guy sees new businesses every day. So I felt really confident at this point that I had a pretty watertight plan. And one of the things that was starting to come out of these conversations I was having with individuals is they were saying, just get out there and start selling. Like, you already know what you want to do. You're ready to go. Like, go sell it. And I was thinking about it, and I shared back with a couple of them as they said this. I said, if someone were asking me for my counsel, that's exactly the counsel I'd give them, is like, just go out and start selling, and you'll find the success that you're trying to develop. And but it didn't feel right. I wasn't ready to do it until the timing was right. I wanted to make sure that everything was prepared intentionally, because my process was such that I wasn't going to sell until I felt that it was 100% ready to sell. And now it is. So we'll talk more about that tomorrow and on Monday as well. But what I really wanted to share with you is, when you know what you're trying to achieve, put together the process that you're going to follow and follow it. Even when you have fantastic counsel from people that you trust, Trust the process that you've developed, because your frame of reference and your context is different than everyone else's. And you know what you need to do to make sure that you achieve the goals that you're setting for you. Trust yourself, trust the process. And when you do that, you're going to be able to serve effectively for all the wonderful people that you're preparing to serve.